Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to welcome back Femi Femo. Okomame.
That's me.
Femi Femo.
Oh, Rufai.
Okomame.
I missed you.
We missed you.
I missed you, Ayo. And I missed you too, Professor Killer. Good morning to you all. Oh, no, we do. We do.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning. And let me tell you about what is happening around the world. Now, Sir Keir Starmer's much anticipated first White House visit meeting with Donald Trump has covered everything from a UK state visit coming up, the Ukraine war, and freedom of speech. Now, following in the footsteps of the visit by French President Emmanuel Macron earlier this week, Keir Starmer appeared respectful yet confident in Trump's presence, especially when the pair sat in the Oval Office. Now, flanked by Vice President J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio on one side and the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy on the other, words were exchanged about freedom of speech, Vance saying that US companies had been complaining about infringement in the United Kingdom, to which Starmer hit back saying that he was proud of his country's freedom of speech. Now, Trump said that he and Starmer got along very famously and indicated support for the UK's Chagos Islands deal, which is to hand back sovereignty of those islands while keeping that UK-US military base on Diego Garcia. Now, Starmer also gave Trump his letter from King Charles inviting the US president to the United Kingdom for a state visit, which Trump did accept. And when Trump was asked about Ukraine and whether he still thought President Volodymyr Zelensky was a dictator, this is what he had to say.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
Oh, he did say so. He did. He did. But the laughter in the room was indicative of a meeting that was on the whole quite jovial. Now, staying with Ukraine, when the leaders held a press conference after that meeting and after they were able to speak in private, Starmer made clear that there can't be a peace deal that rewards the aggressor and that history must be on the side of the peacemaker. Let's take a listen to what Keir Starmer had to say.
I've made it clear that the United Kingdom will play its full part in ensuring that if there's a deal, and we hope there is a deal in Ukraine, that is a lasting deal that sticks. And we're obviously working with other European countries on that, France and NATO in particular. But I think I'm hosting 18 countries on Sunday to further our discussions. You know, as historically has always been the case, we have each other's backs.
We have each other's backs, he said. Now, both of them agreed to the next step, which is achieving a lasting peace deal in Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to arrive in Washington, D.C. today for his own meeting with Trump, which could see the announcement of this much-discussed minerals deal. We're keeping our eyes on that. Moving on now to the shocking news of Oscar winner Gene Hackman, his wife, and one of their dogs' death. Now, investigators said that they were apparently dead for some time before a maintenance worker discovered their bodies at the couple's home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. When the bodies were found, which happened on Wednesday, a sheriff's office spokesperson said that there was no indication that they had been shot or had any wounds that would indicate foul play. However, detectives wrote in a search warrant affidavit that the deaths were suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation. Gene Hackman, 95 years old, was in an entryway when his body was found, and his 65-year-old wife, Betsy Arakawa, was lying on her right side in the bathroom. A space heater was next to her head, which may have fallen when she abruptly dropped to the floor. Now, results of autopsies conducted on both bodies are not available yet, though carbon monoxide and toxicology tests are still pending. This was a huge shock to many people. I think when you hear of his age, 95, perhaps somebody would allow themselves to think perhaps this was the natural causes, but that his wife died, that one of their dogs was also found dead, just indicates, as the authority says, that this is suspicious enough for it to be investigated. Professor Killer, what do you think?
Well, the UK relationship, I've always maintained that there's nothing Trump has done that has surprised me. The only surprise that Trump has thrown, at least for me, is his relationship with the UK. This is not the first time he has walked back. A few weeks ago, he commented that he felt the UK government was doing a big job. And, we joked that he's now talking like an adult because he didn't, he didn't come in to do that is kind of bullish thing with the UK. The lesson there is diligence and the hard work that the Foreign Office is doing from the UK. They have maintained a channel of communication. They have taught the American in Trump's administration some lessons of history. And they've been showing them the document. They've been walking them. I say this, for the benefit of young people and the policymakers across the world. The meeting we're seeing between these two leaders is not just an abrupt meeting. The foreign officers have been doing their job consistently, sending them message, being in communication with them, showing them possible scenarios. And I think Trump is getting it, that you can't do that. And the confidence that the British Prime Minister shows, humble yet confidence on his own stand, I think is a big lesson for all to learn. There's something about this Prime Minister. I mean, I was never a big fan, but I think we've underestimated him a lot, and we might be in for some surprise from him. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so interesting meeting and conversation between the two superpowers, America and the United States of America and the United Kingdom. In Trump's assessment following the meetings and the closed-door negotiations that happened, he seemed to assess Keir Starmer quite highly. In fact, he said that he believes that whatever amount they're paying him, he's worked for it and is worth. And I think that's quite interesting because, prior to now, the Conservatives in the UK and the Republicans in America have enjoyed quite a cordial relationship. Labour the ideologies are different. Labour is more with the Democrats when it comes to ideologies, outlook, political ideology, and the like. So it was good to see that he demonstrated respect for Keir Starmer's negotiation skills. But what were the outcome of these skills? Not a lot, unfortunately. Not a lot of commitment from the United States of America. Maybe the only commitment might be his agreeing to accept the King's invitation for a second state visit to the UK. But Trump is Trump. He won't capitulate so easily. Of course, one of the key conversations on the table was about Ukraine and whether or not following the peace deal that hopefully Trump would get from both parties, that's Russia and Ukraine, he would still be supporting Ukraine with, security, and funds, which he has said he's pulling back on. No commitments there. But he has said that with regards to trade between both countries, they've reached some sort of agreement and that the high tariffs he's looking to impose on the UK might not be so high at all, if at all. So, a win there. But let's see how that happens. Let's see if he will go to the UK himself. And today's meeting with Zelensky, very crucial as well.
Absolutely.
It's just a textbook case in how to deal with a bully. What do? You stand up to them. That's what Emmanuel Macron did the day before. Trump tried pushing his lies again about, Euro and all of that, and Keir Starmer corrected him again. As regards many matters, I'm quite shocked for America because Trump showed lack of knowledge on many topical global issues. For instance, he didn't know about the AUKUS deal, which is a sad one that a sitting American president doesn't know about the AUKUS deal. He now tried to backtrack because people have confronted him on saying Zelensky was a dictator by lying, by saying, did I ever say that? Then the conversations were firm on also trade. So what has happened is because Europe has said, we're going to stand up to you. If you slam up with tariff, we'll slam you back with tariffs. So he's a little bit jittery on all of that. All the assertions he made about them not taking American products, he forgets that trade is competitive.
Yes.
The question we should ask is, are some of the American products competitive? Can you put an American car and a German car and let them compete favorably? Even the EV market that we think America should have taken with the likes of Tesla, China has invested heavily in companies like BYD and they're taking over the market. So it's competition on price points and everything as regards that. So he has not still agreed to the backstop, which is a big problem. Because he's saying that, if you have American workers there working on the mines in Ukraine, then Russia will not attack. No, that's not true. We've had Russia attack unannounced despite, a lot of people telling Russia that there will be dire consequences. So they will attack American workers there or not American workers there. The truth has to be said. He needs to agree on that backstop. Probably we'll see when they have the conversation today with Zelensky. Yeah. When they sign a mineral deal, which is now about 3 to 350 million, but also those mineral deals are in places already taken over by Russia. And you're saying they should sign off all of this. So let's see how that deal pans out. Let's see if he's going to give the backstop. If he doesn't put the backstop in, then we might be in a long time for the war. You see, some of the conservative and right-wing things, everybody does not want the war to end. We want the war to end, but you also need to put your foot on the ground as regards the case of Russia. And that's what Joe Biden did. Because Joe Biden decided to go into that war and funding Ukraine has now demystified the Russian army. If not for Joe Biden funding it, we will not see that Putin didn't have the might of his army. The likes of Shoigu struggled. He had to bring in Prigozhin. Prigozhin now felt so high and they wanted to attack Putin. Putin had to kill him off. So it speaks volumes about Russia. It has not shown that Russia couldn't put troops alone on the ground. They had to go and consult the North Koreans. Yeah. So for all of those making the argument that they are why is America fighting on the side of Ukraine? Why is Russia also needing the North Koreans to fight for them and lead the North Koreans to slaughter Slav in Ukraine?
Definitely think that, as you rightly said, perhaps many people underestimated the ability Ukraine had to fight this war. 3 years is no easy feat. Let's move on to newspaper headlines across the globe. Let's start here in Nigeria with the front cover of This Day. This Day leads this morning actually with the federal government's release of the National Integrated Electricity Policy, which is its effort to not only transform Nigeria's power industry, but to bring back more than 60% of manufacturing businesses which had exited the national grid. Now, a $32 billion investment is required over the next 5 years in order to achieve uninterrupted supply, says the article. Now, the Daily Independent also leads with electricity as the federal government considers taking electricity tariffs outside the Band A category to improve supply. Meanwhile, a host of Nigerian papers this morning have dedicated their front pages to this Lagos Assembly crisis. Now, the New Telegraph, the Daily Trust, The Nation, and The Punch all feature Mudashiru Obasa frantically returning to the Assembly and saying that he remains Speaker, that he was never impeached. Now, he was ousted in January, and it seems that chaos has ensued in the Lagos State House of Assembly ever since. Let's move on to The Punch, which quotes Obasa, who says that I am loyal to Tinubu, but my actions are mine. I think many people would love to hear what President Tinubu has to say about Obasa's actions, and perhaps that could be the reason why they have continued on for so long. Moving on to The Guardian, which leads on the war on fake drugs. The write-up says that 18 years after NAFDAC, which is the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, shut down the notorious Onitsha drug market in Anambra State, there was another raid at the market just this month, also in Abia and in Lagos State, revealing how massive a fake drug cache in this country has become, with over 3,000 drug shops screened and sealed and 87 truckloads of banned, expired and substandard medical products confiscated. The picture, the outlook is bleak. Now, we speak so much about heavy issues. I did want to bring a lighter story to you this morning. On a lighter note, here is something on the front page of the Daily Star of the United Kingdom. Mummy Pig, from the beloved, cherished children's series Peppa Pig, has announced that she's expecting a third precious piggy. Now, the long-running cartoon, which has entertained children since 2004, follows the adventures of Peppa, her little brother George, and their daily escapades with family and friends. Now, while Peppa has already adjusted to being a big sister, this upcoming episode will focus on her evolving role and the big emotions that come with welcoming a new sibling. The special episode, titled The Big Announcement, is scheduled to air on Monday, March 31st. So a huge congratulations to Mummy Pig. I'm a Muslim, we don't eat pork, but we do love us some Peppa Pig. We do.
I think for me, in honor of this great story.
Yes.
Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig.
Goodness
That's my
gracious.
comment in this session.
Here we go.
Thank you so much. That was such a great story to take on a Friday.
Definitely.
And all the politics and all the shenanigans happening in Lagos and the rest of the world.
This is it.
I think it's important to remember that the world can also be quite light and nice.
Absolutely.
And this is not just relevant for children, parents as well. If you
Definitely.
have children, you would know that you spend a lot of time watching these, and you need to also be aware of what your children are watching as well. Yes. As caretakers, it's important. And it's responsible to be aware of the content of what they are watching. So this is really great. Let me then even use the opportunity to talk about our own market for children.
Absolutely.
There's such a big gap in Nigeria to tell our own stories. A lot of what we watch is imported. And there is a market for it, a huge market. There are children who control the television watching times at home. And so I think this is a call, since we're investing in the creative sector in Nigeria at this time, time to also look into children entertainment, especially because Western entertainment is becoming unpalatable for our more traditional culture.
True.
So
All the same-sex
yeah,
marriage
so
agenda
I
people are
think
pushing. They don't like
if
it,
we can make
please,
if we can make headlines.
Do you guys remember Iwaju?
Yes,
that was
but
amazing.
they're taking it. Thankfully, it's our voice. It's the voices of Nigerians.
Yes.
It's a Nigerian storyteller. I know him by the Royal Kukwe, doing fantastic work. But also, we must have homegrown entertainment for our children, where we can also teach values and even history. Let's have a cartoon on Queen Amina. Let's have a cartoon on and teach our children from a young age, because that is how children are socialized. Entertainment
100%.
is a big media, is a big tool for socialization of children. So I think great to hear about Mommy Pig.
Yes,
Congratulations. Also important to see where Nigeria and Africa as a continent can play in this market for children, so that we can also put up our own values. And maybe I wonder who Elede is. He that's a pig in
Yoruba. That's true.
Or what is it? A chicken or what's it? Akuko? Anything.
Yes.
Just have something.
That would be wonderful, honestly. And I think you make such a great point, because when you're talking about primary socialization, a lot of times entertainment is what you remember. Even me, I always remember what I watched as a child, whether it was cartoons or sitcoms. And annoyingly
brush your teeth.
Exactly, brush your teeth, how you cross the road, how you do everything.
But we had a lot of that now. You remember Willy Willy Don't Die? Nah, who kill her?
No.
Clap for Shirley. Clap for
Do you
Shirley.
know? Do you get? No, but you guys remember there was one.
You remember Willy Willy?
No, but there's one I do remember, because my brother and sister, my older brother and sister, they were actually born in Nigeria and they spent their early childhood here. So the only nursery, if I can even call it that, was they would lie down and they would have their feet on each other and they would sing Django Fire Moto. That one, I remember that one.
No, you should. Go and ask for
Willy Willy. Okay.
Willy Willy.
Professor, what do you have to say about our papers before we go?
Well, I sing in the voice of Rufai for papers thing. But I think, by your point, it's a very important thing to see if we can tap into that big market.
Yes.
There's a caveat, though, to that. Contrary to what people think, creative industry, real creative, not hacking history, not doing realism, not saying Nollywood is showing what is going on in the world. The real creative industry, the fantasy that brings very light entertainment, has a lot of hard work behind it.
Absolutely.
The reason why the pig story, other kind of story, sort of rule the world and make a lot of money is that they combine psychology, sociology, a bit of poetry, the right colors. It's very hard work. Anybody who's ever worked near those who make light entertainment will see that what we call simple comes from very serious context. And people who want to tap into that industry to take note of that. And perhaps our psychologists can work with our creative writers, with our historians, with our sociologists to come up with something that can really work very well.
I'd love that. I would love that. Well, thank you all. That was fun, wasn't it?
Thank you so much. Now we go back. I know. Thank you for taking us, at least ending on it with a smile. Now we're going into some deep things.
Yes.
We have some interesting guests to talk about what's happening in the political scene today across Nigeria and the rest of the world. Thank you so much, Adefemi.
Always a pleasure.
Have a great weekend.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I have to give you guys a very, very shameless plug. I know you guys have some blockbuster guests coming up, but also in today's edition of The Morning Show, we will be premiering Bittersweet.
Yes.
Layla and I, we've worked for 7 months on this report, looking at the dangers and the threats posed to Nigerian children when it comes to sugar. It will play at some point during The Morning Show and throughout the day, so please do tune in and let us know what you think.
I look forward to watching that. Thank you so much.